To you, our new Afghan neighbors, welcome. With this video, we hope to help you begin your new lives here in the United States. We will give you an overview of the steps to take to resettle in the United States. We will tell you what asylum is and how to seek affirmative asylum from an asylum officer in the United States. But please note, the information provided in this video is not legal advice. Individual circumstances will vary. You should always seek assistance from a licensed immigration attorney or Department of Justice accredited representative if you have questions or need help with your immigration forms and applications. At the end of this presentation, we will share how you can find assistance in your area. Keep in mind that asylum may not be the only immigration available to you. You are allowed to file multiple applications for relief at the same time. Different members of your family may also have different immigration options available to them, or they may need to file their own separate applications. Asylum is a form of protection that allows a person to stay in the United States if they're afraid of returning to their home country. Asylum is granted to someone who suffered harm, commonly called persecution, in their home country in the past, or is afraid they will suffer harm in their home country in the future because of who they are. An asylum seeker must show that they were harmed or will be harmed because of their race, religion, national origin, political opinion, or membership in a social group. Asylum can be granted by an asylum officer or an immigration judge. People who are granted asylum are called asylees. Asylees are allowed to live and work in the United States and have access to some government benefits. Importantly, asylum is a pathway to citizenship in the United States. If granted asylum, an asylee can apply for permanent residency, a green card, 1 year later. After having permanent residency for 5 years, a former asylee can apply for U.S. citizenship. Asylees can also petition the United States to confer asylum status on their spouse and children under the age of 21. So that their loved ones can enjoy asylum status, as well as come join them in the U.S. as asylees if they are abroad. You can only apply for asylum if you are physically present in the United States. An asylum seeker must remain in the United States for the duration of the asylum application process. To qualify for asylum, you must apply within your first year of entry or before the expiry date of your valid entry status, such as parole. There are limited exceptions to this rule. An applicant would have to show that extraordinary circumstances caused the delay in applying. To establish eligibility for asylum, you must show that you have suffered past harm, commonly referred to as persecution, or have a well-founded fear of persecution in your home country in the future. Additionally, you must show that the harm you suffered or fear you will suffer should you return was inflicted upon you because of your race, national origin, religion, political opinion, or membership in a social group. These categories are commonly called protected grounds. It is not enough for you to show that you fear harm. You must show that the harm you fear will be inflicted on you due to one of these protected grounds. The person or group that inflicted the harm, or may inflict the harm in the future, can be the government or some group or individual that the government cannot or will not control. No matter who the persecutor is, it is important that you, as an asylum applicant, show that you will not be able to find safety anywhere in your home country. There are 2 different processes for filing for asylum in the United States. If you entered the U.S. on a visa, with humanitarian parole, or are not in removal proceedings before an immigration court, you can apply for asylum by mailing the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. If you are in removal proceedings, you should file your asylum application and evidence directly with the immigration court handling your case. To apply for asylum, you must submit a completed Form I-589 and relevant evidence. The Form I-589 is available at uscis.gov. You must list your current spouse and all of your children, regardless of their physical location, on the I-589 form. It is important to provide this and all information accurately on your application, as it may impact your family's ability to be granted asylum. Your spouse and minor children who are in the U.S. with you may be able to qualify as derivative beneficiaries to your application. This means that if you are granted asylum, they will be granted asylum also. You must specifically request to include your spouse and/or children as derivative beneficiaries to your application when listing them on the Form I-589. You must also submit one additional copy of your asylum application and the attached evidence for each family member. Include one passport-style photograph of yourself, as well as one photo of each family member you request as a derivative to your claim. If you are married and including your spouse as a derivative beneficiary, you must include proof of marriage, such as a copy of a marriage certificate, with your asylum filing. If you have minor children and are requesting them as derivative beneficiaries, you should include copies of their birth certificates or adoption records. If they are your stepchildren, include another copy of your marriage certificate, as well as a copy of their birth certificates to show your relationship to the biological parent. If you do not have these items, you can include other types of evidence to prove your relationship to these family members. It is important that you are honest and clear in your I-589 application, as well as in any subsequent interview or court hearing. In addition to considering whether you qualify for asylum protection, an asylum officer or immigration judge will be considering your credibility. They will be trying to determine whether you are telling the truth about your case. Providing false information in your application can result in your losing your asylum case and being barred from any U.S. immigration benefits in the future. The two most important pieces of evidence in your case are your sworn statement and any testimony you give the court or the asylum officer. Do your best to collect any evidence that supports or proves any part of your case. An attorney or accredited representative should be able to help you figure out what kind of evidence would be most useful in your case. Aside from your sworn statement, which should include your original signature, any evidence you submit should be a copy. If you send an original document, you risk losing it. You should save any original evidence for your records and bring the originals with you to your interview or hearing. Sworn statements from witnesses can corroborate or attest to the elements of your experience. For example, if you suffered any violence in your home country because of your protected class, and another person witnessed this event, they can write a statement or testify to what they saw. A witness can still help you prove your case, even if they did not see the actual event take place. The witness could have seen or spoken with you after an important event or incident, and they can make a statement regarding what you told them or what they observed. Family members often provide witness statements if they are aware of any of the incidences or events that contribute to your well-founded fear of persecution. Talk to an attorney or accredited representative if you worry that collecting a statement from a family member or friend may put them at risk. They can help you seek alternative ways to obtain these statements while protecting your witness's safety. Country experts can often provide information to the court to prove or clarify complex parts of your case. They can explain the conditions in Afghanistan that would bring about your fear of persecution because of your protected class. For example, an expert in Afghan history or politics may be able to discuss the current conditions facing Shia Muslims in the country. Other experts may include psychological or medical experts who can testify to any effects or diagnoses that prove your fears or experiences of persecution. While some experts offer their services for free, others may charge high fees for their time. If persecution against you and your protected class is common, providing the court with human rights reports or reports on the conditions in Afghanistan can demonstrate why you have a fear of persecution in your home country. An attorney or accredited representative will be able to help you find human rights and country condition reports that support your case. Official documents that prove who you are and document relevant experiences in your life are extremely important to the court. Your passport, identity card, birth certificate, marriage records, death records, military records, and police, court, or prison records can be used to demonstrate parts of your case and your identity. You should submit identity documents for you and your spouse and/or children. News articles can be used to show the general conditions for people in Afghanistan or people in similar situations as yours. News articles can be helpful in specific types of claims if they show that people in a similar situation were threatened or harmed. If, for example, a principal in a school for girls feared persecution and her school was attacked, A news story documenting that event could be used to prove her case. Some evidence will be specific to your case. News articles, photographs, and written messages like texts, letters, or emails can be used to prove any element of your case. If you have a recording that you would like to submit to the asylum officer or the court, the recording may be submitted on a CD. You must include a certified written transcript of the recording. If any of your documents are not written in English, be sure to include the document and a certified English translation. The I-Form 589 must be completed in English. An interpreter can help you complete the form. Interpreters must sign the relevant section of the form, indicating that they interpreted and translated from your language to English. All documents submitted to the court or asylum office must be fully translated into English and submitted along with a copy of the original language documents. Translations do not need to be conducted by a professional, but must be completed by someone who is competent to translate from your language into English. Be cautious when picking a translator or interpreter to minimize any errors on the form. You will likely be asked questions about the content of your application. Additionally, translators should complete and attach a certificate of translation to each document for submission. This slide shows a fillable certificate of translation. The certificate is available in the Immigration Court's Practice Manual, which is available on the Department of Justice website. The link is listed on this slide. Once you have prepared your asylum application, your evidence, and have made requisite copies, you may submit your application. If you are filing with the asylum office, you should review the Where to File section at uscis.gov/I-589 to find the mailing address for your submission. Make sure to save a copy of your asylum application and your evidence for your own records. If you are mailing your application, be sure to send the application through the post office or private carrier with tracking information so that you can verify that it was delivered. It will likely be several weeks before you hear back from USCIS about your filing. You will receive a receipt notice from USCIS via mail, verifying that they have received your application. Keep this receipt notice for your records. A few weeks later, you will receive a second notice from USCIS to schedule you for a biometrics appointment at a USCIS Application Support Center. When you go to this appointment, a staff member will take your fingerprints and photograph in order to run a background check on you. You must attend your biometrics appointment. Failure to attend the biometrics appointment puts your asylum application at risk of being deemed abandoned or denied. Sometime after your biometrics appointment, you will receive an appointment notice listing the date, time, and location of your asylum interview before an asylum officer. This may take a few months or a few years. However, the Department of Homeland Security has recently indicated that they plan to streamline and expedite asylum cases for Afghan applicants. When you receive a notice about your interview, review the document carefully. If you prefer to conduct the interview in your native language, the notice will indicate whether the asylum office will provide you with an interpreter or if you must bring an interpreter to the interview with you. Keep in mind that you must immediately update your address with USCIS if you move or change your address during the period between the date you filed your asylum application and the date you received notice about your asylum interview. If you do not update your address, USCIS may send important notices to your previous address and you risk not receiving them. To update your address with USCIS, visit uscis.gov and complete the form AR11. When you attend your asylum interview, the asylum officer will review and update your I-Form 589 with you. If you notice any errors in your application, this is a good opportunity to correct them. The asylum officer will also ask you questions about your case. Answer these questions clearly and honestly. If you do not understand a question, you should ask for clarification. If you notice any problems with the interpretation, you should also let the asylum officer know. An asylum officer does not usually decide on the day of the interview. Typically, an asylum applicant will receive the asylum officer's decision by mail. It often takes several weeks to several months to receive the decision. If you are not granted asylum, but still have permission to remain in the United States, you will receive a letter denying your application for asylum. If you are not granted asylum and you do not have permission to remain in the United States, your case will be referred to the immigration court near where you live. By sending your case to the immigration court, you will be placed in removal proceedings. but you will still have a chance to present your case for asylum again before an immigration judge. If you are granted asylum by USCIS, typically your spouse and children under the age of 21 who are present in the United States will automatically become asylees too. If your spouse or children under 21 are not in the United States, you may apply for them to join you in the United States by filling the Form I-730. The form and the instructions for this form are available at uscis.gov. Asylum is a complex area of law. If you are seeking asylum in the United States, it is always advisable to find competent legal representation. Here are some resources for finding an attorney or representative to help you through this process. Also, your local resettlement agency may be able to assist you in getting legal services. Alternatively, you can locate nonprofit legal service organizations through the Immigrant Advocates Network. Their website is www.immigrationadvocates.org/legal directory. You can search by entering the zip code for where you reside. If you want to hire a private attorney, you can search www.alialawyer.com to find an attorney who is a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. Make sure the person you are working with is either an attorney or a Department of Justice accredited representative. Unfortunately, there are people who try to take advantage of asylum seekers, and they will charge you for services they are not authorized to do. You can ask to see an individual's license or accreditation. If you retain an attorney, make sure to get a copy of the contract. Know the services you are contracting for, and get receipts for any payments you make. Thank you for viewing this video on asylum.